iOS application and the basics. So we'll start with the basics. I am Danish Inamdar, I am project engineer at CDAC Hyderabad. So I will be giving you like the basic things you need to get started with the iOS security and all. Yeah. So first we'll go with the introduction. So iOS is basically developed by Apple, and its hardware is also exclusive. Nothing is open source, not the OS and not even the hardware. It's like a bit complex, and they try to keep it much like confidential as possible. So iOS basically runs on iPhones and touchpad, as you can see. Most of you may be using it. So the iOS architecture basically. So iOS architecture is based on a Unix. Uh, it is a layered architecture and a mobile version of OS X. It has various framework and system interfaces. So we'll go next slide to understand the architecture. Yeah, so basically the Cocoa is the uppermost layer, application level layer. Below that, there is a media layer and core services that are like intermediate layers. And below that, there is a core OS, which basically handles the different system libraries that the OpenCL, disk arbitration, system configuration, kernel, and device drivers. So this is the hardware level. Kernel and device drivers, hardware interaction with the hardware level. For the next diagram shows it more clearly. What happens is the hardware, there is a hardware layer above that, the operating system and the application. So application basically interacts more with the Cocoa Touch, and that basically consists of the UI kit and the event kit frameworks. That frameworks help for the interaction with the UI interaction. Below that, there is a media layer. Media layer basically consists of the audio, graphics, video, and the below frameworks that are being used for that. And the core services include the data and address, everything. Below that, there is a core OS that consists of the basic hardware level frameworks that are used for in the interaction. Yeah, next. Like this is the like when we install application from App Store. So basically, a IPA file gets installed on your device. IPA basically refers to iPhone application archive. So like if you can extract IPA, you need to jailbreak a device or use older version of iTunes to extract an IPA from a software or a device. You need a proper jailbreak. I will in the later part of that session, I will explain about jailbreak and all if you are new to it. So basically, iOS-based applications are developed in Objective-C and Swift. The IDE for iOS application is Xcode. IDE refers to the integrated development platform which is used is Xcode. So Xcode can be installed only if you have a MacBook. So it's a dependency. Like if you want to get involved in the iOS security and even in the development, you need to have Apple's devices. So it's like completely dependent on the use of iOS. So it's not like it's a paid and it's costly for to okay. Yeah, next we move to the understand the architecture. Like it is based on the model view control. So what happens is whatever logic is there, it's there in the model, and model consists of all the logic thing, everything that design pattern or whatever is there. It is designed in the model, and view basically view is used for whatever logic you have implemented through view you can visualize and show to the show to the end user. So like model and view interact using the controller. They cannot model and view, they do not interact directly. Controller acts as a mediator for whatever user action or whatever updates or changes we have to do in the application. Controller takes up the responsibility to coordinate between the view and model. So it's a model view controller based architecture. Yeah. So like what happens, like previously also, like in previous sessions you may have seen like malware based attacks are there, or like there is it's not like some malware being present. So in iOS, yeah, when the application, like when the phone starts, iPhone starts, from that then only it's bit secure comparative to Android. So like what happens at boot level only, there is while the system loads or the operating system starts, at the boot level only, first it checks the root CA. Root CA refers to the certifying authority. So there is a certifying authority that checks that the boot ROM is properly enabled, and along with that there is a public key authentication. So that kind of authentication happens while the iPhone boots up. So along with that, there is a user ID and a GID, group ID defined for them. So user ID is unique to each iPhone, and as mentioned here, and group ID is unique to all devices within the same application processor. So this is the thing with that. And below that, there is a low level bootloader. So this verification, after the first verification, there is a next verification with the low level bootloader, then with the Apple root certifying authority. So after this is done, there is a next level of iBoot. After this, the iBoot checks that this proper signature is implemented on the lower level bootloader. So after that, again, there is a signature verification of the kernel that happens. So you can see the multiple layers of signature-based verification and certifying authority-based verification happening based on the signature and the certificate authority. After that, there is a one more level of signature checking that is based on the signature of the app. So the app signature happens at the like when the application is developed, and after developing the application, it is sent to the Apple Store for verification. And after the sign is like confirmed, the Apple signs it and sends it forward for to be used by the users. So you can see the multiple layers of security being present in the iOS at the boot level and with the like applications also. So it's code signing is bit secure compared to Android, and even there is a in Android also we have sandboxing, and similarly in iOS also there is a sandboxing. So sandboxing basically refers to that one application will not interact with the data of another application unless and until it is required for the application to access resources. So like if an application has a dependency to use resources of another app, then only the developer or the organization makes the effort of allowing shared resources between apps. Other than that, there is a sandboxing. By default, the sharing of resources between apps is not allowed in iOS. Other than that, there is a secure feature that is keychain. So by default, if you store data in keychain, it's encrypted. But other than this encryption, we need to follow normal OWASP guidelines. Like you need to cipher the data, whatever data is being stored, you need to cipher it and store. Yeah, we'll move to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the iOS file system. So like how we can see that like what is this is the sandbox I was referring to. Like each application will be provided this kind of space. So basically when you install an application on iPhone, after the application gets installed, this is the sandbox space that it gets provided in the iPhone. So like the some application you have stored, so the first folder that it will create is that application name .app folder that will contain the resources. Other than that, there is a document folder, like whatever downloads or anything you make, that kind of thing will be get stored in the document folder. Other than that, there is a library where the dependency based on the device architecture and all the libraries will be get loaded. Other than that, there are temporary files that are basically the temporary files basically refers to the like some login information that will be valid only during when the app you are logged into the application. After you log out, the data gets like deleted, or it's only visible for some amount of time for the in the temp folder. Other than that, if you like synchronize we synchronize photos and everything in some applications, so in that case the iCloud is being used. For that you need to sign into the iCloud and use the facility in the application if it is required. So yeah, so here it's mentioned about what I have explained, like the app dot name. It contains the app and its resources. Documents contains the data content stored, and the library consists of the custom files like cache and support files, whatever are required. And this is basically to write the temporary files between, and it gets removed after the app is like logged off, or like you are signed out of the application. The temporary folder data gets erased. So iOS basics. So basically, as I've told previously, that Xcode is basically used to develop the application. It is a development framework, development tool like IDE, and through Objective C or Swift is the language that is being used. And after that, we compile the code and then you sign. For signing, you require an Apple developer account. So in a staging environment, when it's in an initial stage of development, along with Apple development account, you need to add the UDID. So unique device ID refers to the device which you will be using for testing. So like it's very secure. Like even if you have to install an application on a particular device, you need to give the device ID details. If the device ID details are provided in the certificate, then only it will get installed on a device. So yeah, even the installation process is so secure that it requires device ID. If the device ID is valid, then only it gets installed on the iPhone. Yeah. Previously, I referred to jailbreaking. So, what is jailbreaking actually? So, jailbreaking is like a privilege escalation. Basically, refers to like you get extra privileges after jailbreaking the device. So, like there are what are the features after jailbreaking? You can customize your device. Like you can basically carrier unlocking. It refers to like you can increase your baseband limit. Like whatever the current baseband limit is there, it can increase that. So using a IPSW, what IPSW refers to is like a image file. Like in Android, we have ROMs to update the OS version. Similarly, there is a IPSW. So there are IPSW beta versions available, and so you can install that IPSW beta versions and customize your device. And the main thing that is after jailbreaking, you get access to root file system. So the previously the iOS file system which I showed, it is not available. The document library folder, it cannot be accessed by a normal genuine user. Only a attacker or hacker who jailbreaks a device can get access to that folders. So like if you want to start with the vulnerability assessment, so you need to jailbreak your device to understand the application better. Yeah. So like jailbreak, jailbreaking technique is different for different version of iOS devices and iOS versions and devices. So you need to know about what device you are using and what is the version and what all things are there. So based on that, you need to visit this website. Can I jailbreak? So it will based on the version, it will provide you the details which jailbreak technique you can use for the your device, and you can try the same and jailbreak your device. So yeah, the jailbreaking procedure. So once you jailbreak your device, you get access to root file system. But there are different techniques of jailbreaking: tethered and untethered jailbreak. So tethered jailbreak, it refers to it will be tethered jailbreak means once if you jailbreak the device, the jailbreak will remain in place only till your device is booted. Once you reboot your device, the jailbreak is gone. So it's like on if you switch off your phone, then the jailbreak technique gets turned off, and again you have to, after restarting your device, again you have to jailbreak. So it's like a bit complex. So untethered jailbreak is like a permanent jailbreak where if once you jailbreak your thing, the file system changes in your iPhone, and it will be there will be a constant access to root file system. So it's a better thing. Even if your battery dead, your phone is switched off, then after restarting also, the jailbreak exists with the untethered jailbreak technique. So the kind of jailbreak technique you are using is also important while doing jailbreak. So yeah, CDI and CDO. Basically, what this refers to, like once you jailbreak your device, you get access to alternative app store. Like with normal iPhones, you can only install apps from App Store. But once you jailbreak, you get CDI and CDO like support. So it depends on which jailbreak technique you have used. If you have used Electra, Uncover, and Phoenix, then you can use CDI. And if you have used Chimbra based jail technique, then you have a CDO app store available to customize your phone. So you can install applications from this Play Stores and customize the phone for your purpose. Like if you want to unencrypt application or you want to debug something. So there are multiple things available, plugins and apps that are available that you can set up extensions using this alternative based app stores, and you can customize and use for the purpose. Yeah. So basically installing applications on iOS. Installing applications on iOS basically refers to like using installing for application on iOS. In this case, what happens is there are it depends. Like if you are using Windows, then there are only 2-3 ways available. Like this is the iPhone box. So you have to install iPhone box on your Windows system and connect it with the iPhone, and then you can get access to the file system or install applications. Other than that, in Windows we have Passion Fruit also. Passion Fruit is also there with the GUI, so that can also be used. Other than that, there is an old version of iTunes. So if someone is having that old version of .itunes exe file, then they can set up that and install apps from App Store using this iTunes. But the current version of iTunes has removed that support. So only with old iTunes version, Windows you can. So there is a limitation in Windows OS to do BAPT in for the iOS. But with the Mac OS, you have much more options and much more varieties available. Like the App Store, you can install apps from App Store, Xcode directly, the iOS deploy tool, the CDI impactor, and all that. So this is the thing. So I will be sharing you a small lab that I've created. Yeah. So see, this is the like basics iOS signing procedure. So if you want to sign and start using like demo application for iOS, there is a demo like vulnerable application iGo. So if you want to like directly, you cannot install that application on iPhone. You need proper setup. Like you need a MacBook and a developer account first of all, and then an iPhone. So there are dependencies. If you have all this, then only you can try a lab setup for this. So yeah. So first you need this tool called iOS App Signer from Mac. In the MacBook only you can install this. So once you have this tool, you have to configure that with the IPA file, and you have to set the UDID and all and certificate configurations. Then only this iOS App Signer will work. So once you configure, you can select the IPA file and then sign it. Then it will like get then you have to coordinate it with the Xcode. So like it will appear over here as shown in the screen, and then it gets installed on the device. Second way, using Windows. So if someone is using a Windows system, then also they can install an application if that is properly signed and having your UDID, then only this will work. Otherwise, this method won't work. If the UDID of the device is not added, then the setup won't work. So once the iPhone box is installed, you have to select the, as shown here, you have to select install app from here, then select the respective IPA, and then it will get installed. See, in the next slide I have shown here. Other than that, if you want, this is the first way. Second is the static analysis. If you want to do a static analysis of a IPA file, you can do it using a MobSF tool. There is a tool called MobSF. So what happens is like most of the things I told, you require a MacBook for this, an Apple device for this. But there is an alternative for using a MobSF. So you can use a Mob Elixir VM. There is a VM called Mob Elixir. If you have installed that Mob Elixir VM on a VirtualBox, and you can configure that VM and then run this MobSF tool. So even if you don't have MacBook, if you use MobElection VM, then you can use the MobSF tool and start this. This is very simple. That command line .sh, you have to start the server. Once the server is started, you have to upload the IPA file in the MobSF, and you can see here it will give you a good result about the static analysis of the IPA file. Other than that, checking for sensitive informations in the device. For checking for sensitive information, what happens is, like most of the time there is a improper way of development happening at the developer end. So most of the time developer forgets to stop the logging information. It means whatever you are typing and you are entering in the application, it is getting stored in the logs, device logs. So if this kind of thing gets stored in the device logs, what happens is, here I have shown a demo application. In this, during the payment process, your CVV and PIN you have entered, and it is getting stored in the device logs. So the PIN and the CVV is getting stored, and how we can check if it is getting stored. So you have to connect your phone to the, while doing this activity, you have to connect your phone to the MacBook, and you have to open a console log. In the console log, you have to search for the CV. Just type CV, search CVV, and you will get the details. So basically, in a a good proper way of secure coding is to disable logging of disable device logs for a good application. So this is the good developer practice you need to implement. Further, intercepting applications. Yeah. So how to intercept communication the application is doing in iPhone. For this, you need a system. So you need to have a system IP. Through this commands, you can get the IP of system. Once you get the IP of the system, yeah, okay. So once you get the IP of the system, then you have to check the IP of your mobile phone. So you have to enable a proxy. Once you enable a proxy, then you have to set up Bob Shoot. So someone who has done Bob Shoot and all, they can relate to it, and you have to set up a proxy. Once the proxy is set, you have to do this settings to enable the IP address and all. Once this setup is done, you will be able to intercept the application as shown here. So you need to be more know about the Bob Shoot configurations and all to do this practically. So once it's like set up properly, and like a man in the middle attack happens, and you can intercept the request. Yeah. So reverse engineering. What is reverse engineering? Reverse engineering basically refers to understand the code. So for understanding the code, you need to like the IPA file which we have received, you have to first unzip that file. So the .ipa file extension you have to change to .zip file. So after changing the file extension to .zip, you have to unzip that file. And after unzipping that file, you will see multiple contents in the files. So what you have to do is use a tool. Once you have unzipped the file, you have to use a tool called Hopper Deassembler. This Hopper Deassembler tool can be used for reverse engineering. So like after I told, like after you unzip, there will be multiple folders available after unzipping. So in that unzipped folder, you have to look for a binary file. So once you get the binary file, you have to upload that file in the Hopper Deassembler. And after uploading that file in the Hopper Deassembler, you can analyze, if you have proper some coding background, you can analyze the code that is stored, and you have to look for sensitive information. So what happens is, sometimes the username and password that needs to be that you enter is getting stored in hard coded in the source code. So a secure way is not to hard code any sensitive information in the application. Only at server side you have to store the validate information. Never you have to store in the static code any sensitive information. So if the developer is doing this kind of mistake, you can get the sensitive information using this reverse engineering techniques. Yeah, even you can even check for the weak algorithms. like you can use a tool called OTool and check for MD5. So this kind of algorithms that are being used that are depreciated. So you can report this that there is a weak algorithm being used by the developer. So you need to like change it and not use this kind of algorithms, weak algorithms. Similarly, authorization bypass. So what happens is in authorization bypass, like there are two login roles, normal role and admin role. So once you have set up the environment to intercept, what happens is there is a profile page like ID page. So like this is a normal user having ID 100, and say the admin user has ID 10. So if I change the ID value from 100 to 10, I can access the information of admin. So this kind of vulnerability leads to authorization bypass. So like I am able to view details of another user. So in a normal application, you should implement parameters in an encoded and like proper way of hashing and all should be implemented to avoid manipulating of parameters and avoiding authorization bypass. These kind of techniques needs to be taken care. Basically, this is the same demo. So it basically refers to insecure direct object reference. So like if you change the ID value, you get access to some other person's profile page. So this is the things that I wanted to share with you. Yeah, any questions? If any questions are there regarding the iOS, please let me know.
Sir, you done with your session, sir?
Yes, sir.
If anyone have any question, please write in the chat box.